Hey, welcome to the AgileTD After Work. So today we have Kristof. Kristof is going to talk about Keystroke Injection Attacks. And we have some talks in the background before we start here. And I can tell you everything's very, very interesting. And I think we can spend maybe a whole night in the bar, even if he doesn't like to be in the bar, talking about that, about security and penetration testing and how to steal money. And so on. So that's very nice. So, Kristof, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Who are you?
All right. My name is Kristof Van Kriekingen. I am from Belgium. I currently work for the Agile Testers in Belgium. I'm a cybersecurity researcher and a quality coach.
Oh, it seemed like your internet was broken.
Yeah, it's back now. So, I work as a quality coach as well. I've done some pen testing in the past, but it's not really my cup of tea to do pen testing because you're like a week here, a week there, and I like to be on a project for a long time. I've been into security since I was probably very young, 14, 15 years old. I started doing security stuff. Wasn't always too good, so I stopped when I was 18 because I could go to jail. Yes, indeed. It was illegal. So I learned my lessons. A few years later, I started working. Later on, I discovered Bug Bounty, where you could earn money for finding security flaws. Got back into security, and then started pen testing, and then quality coaching, and all that kind of stuff. I'm very passionate about knowledge sharing. That's like my favorite thing to do. I did 131 meetups last year. Which is quite a lot. It's quite the effort, but it's so worth it just because I'm so passionate and I love knowledge sharing.
Okay.
And that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. I studied computer science, and my professor, Dr. This is his name, was my the one who did with me my diploma, and Professor Dr. Franken, and he said to us, I think it was the first day at the university, he said to us, all computer scientists are potential criminal. Or potentially criminal. So I was there saying, why? No, not me. Yeah, but this is,
you never know. You never know.
You never know. So before you start the presentation, you were involved with Santosh and Lizzie creating the deep dive track on security. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we had the reviews going on first, separating all the talks and the workshops. We reviewed all of them. Some were even very nice. Like there were very nice talks, but we thought maybe this person, because you also have to share a video, and I really recommend making the video because it shows your passion.
Yeah.
We found this person who had a talk about threat modeling, and we basically told him to make it a workshop, and it will be great because he was so passionate, and that's why you have to do the video as well. So we went through all of the reviews, we went through all of the videos. We created a track with a lot of diverse topics because security testing is not just penetration testing. It's not just web applications. We have a lot of different types of security, a lot of different speakers from all different countries with a lot of different topics. And I think that's really amazing because it will basically capture. It doesn't even capture all of the aspects of security because there's so many aspects of security, and that is the most beautiful thing about it. You can do so much, and on ATD you will be able to see some of them, which is awesome. And you should read the tracks.
Okay. Do we have a plan B if some of the speakers is going to be in the jail?
If some of the speakers are going to be in the jail, then I will present something extra or something. Extra, that's no problem. I'm not going to jail. I do everything ethically. That's my number one rule. It has to be legal.
I am too bad for that. I remember I told you that we did years ago a workshop in I think it was in Amsterdam, and it was about security testing, and we show how you can hack things and how you can prevent that. And when I was there, because I was attending but not working in the workshop, just attending because it was the first one, and I said, okay, yeah, of course, okay, yeah, of course, you can do that, yeah, okay. So I understood, but I am not able to think that far because I think the gene for that is missed in my head. I am for the party, but not really for going deep in the things. I understand the things, but I would not come to this idea from my own because this is not part of my genetic. I think that you may have that kind of sense for that, I guess.
I think it's just experience and being passionate about it and doing it for a very, very long time. That really helps.
So let's stop talking, and then you need to start working and show us what you're going to present. So I bring in your presentation to the front,
Yes.
and I will go to the back. So enjoy the time, and see you later. Okay.
Perfect. So welcome all to Lock It or Lose Duck Duck Pond. Before we start, there's a small disclaimer. So this presentation is meant as a educational presentation, more of a security awareness presentation. I will talk about keystroke injection attacks. But what I want to say is do not try this at home. Do not do this without permission because you can go to jail. Make sure to check the laws of your company, the laws of the countries and the companies as well, because you can only do this under contract when you have it on black and white, because really you can go to jail. So the email that we've all seen, or maybe like a chat message in Slack or in Teams that states that you will buy some pastries next week or some sushi. So in one of the many of the companies that I've worked in, they had this rule that if you could type sushi in a specific channel that from somebody else's laptop, they would actually have to pay sushi or Thai food or French fries or anything alike. And I guess we've all seen that one, and that comes from unlocked laptops. So whenever somebody's laptop is unlocked and somebody sees it, you just run over there and you quickly start typing like, hey, I am buying pastries next week for every one of you, and everybody has a real big laugh. But why? Why do we actually have to lock our laptops? And that's a very good question, because there's a lot of things that we do in IT that we do because people tell us to. We do a lot of stuff without knowing what we actually do. And that's maybe a problem. And I'm here to basically elaborate on this. So there is this experiment about monkeys and a ladder, bananas, and water. And the monkeys there's 5 monkeys in a room, there's a ladder, and on the top of the ladder there are bananas. And whenever a monkey tries to climb on the ladder, they get sprayed with water. And the monkeys don't like that. So the monkeys don't climb the ladder anymore. Then they switch out one of the monkeys and they put in a new monkey. That new monkey sees the bananas and wants to try and climb the ladder, but the other monkeys stop him because they don't want to get sprayed. And they do that for every single monkey until there is no monkey left that actually climbed the ladder and knows what is actually happening. But they just know we can't climb the ladder, but we don't know why. And that's what we do as well in IT very, very often. And it's basically making assumptions. So we shouldn't make assumptions. So why should we lock our laptops? Well, that's a good question. And one of the most basic answers is somebody could come in here, sit behind your laptop, and take away all of the data. And that's partially true. And that's often done with a rubber ducky USB. What is a rubber ducky USB? Well, as you can see on the screen here on the right, it has a USB and USB-C port. And whenever you plug it in into a laptop, which is not locked, it will fire off a script, which is a keystroke injection script. A lot of people always ask, why is it actually called a rubber ducky? Well, the simple answer is a rubber ducky is cute and it's very harmless and it looks harmless. And that's why it's called a rubber ducky, because it looks harmless. It's just a USB. You can find the USB on the parking lot, on the floor. People pick it up and plug it in, and then they get hijacked, basically. Never do that, by the way. If you find the USB on the floor, just throw it away in the trash. But yeah, those attacks are called keystroke injection attacks. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There is this repository from Hack5, which is a famous vendor for USB Rubber Duckies. And they often have competitions about who can make the best script for penetration tests or red teaming events. You can go through them, as you can see here on the screen. There are some scripts to basically exfiltrate data. You can catch credentials. There are some pranks in there where you can like change the background of somebody's computer screen. You can also get remote access, and all those scripts are all already in there, so you can just copy paste. But what I prefer to do is I basically use the payload studio from Hack5 itself with Ducky script, so you can basically code script your own code. And you can put anything in there. So whenever we're talking about a keystroke injection attack, it is basically simulating a keyboard. And with a keyboard on a computer, you can do a lot of things. Just imagine you can do everything with command prompt, and it's very easy to open command prompt. You can open PowerShell and you can do a lot of stuff. You can install malware, you can install keyloggers, all the bad stuff. So I've done a few assessments of these. So what do you actually hack on these assessments? That's also the very question that I always get. And it's actually very boring. It's very boring. And the correct answer is it depends, because it's something you discuss with the security team of the company. So what we often do is we just read the computer name and we write it to the USB so we can access a list of all the computers that had unlocked laptops. Sometimes they want to prompt a notepad block with a specific word or phrase in there that we have to take a picture of. That's something that also can happen. But most of the time it's just reading the computer name. That's basically it. It's very boring, I know. But that's mostly for like a pen test like event assessment. You can also do red teaming events, and red teaming is where you go in unannounced to all of the people, and then you will basically try to get to a specific point, and then you're actually going to get like all of the credentials from the people to try and log into all of the applications. But that's not something that I have done. So keystroke injections attacks, nobody will do that, right? If we're looking at like we're sitting at the company in a big open space and everybody is like, you should lock your laptop, and people go like, yeah, but nobody's gonna come in here. Nobody's gonna do that, right? Well, you might be right, but you also might be wrong. So in 2022, IBM had like a data security report, and it said, and like basically to identify a breach took them about 9 months for a lot of companies. That's the average. And you have to think that's only from the companies that actually have reported it and found it, because the companies that haven't found it, yeah, they're not in there, obviously. After COVID, a lot of hackers became active. A lot of companies became more aware of this. They invest more and more into cybersecurity, into the defense of cybersecurity. And as you can see, in 2023 and in 2024, it became lower. So in 2024, so last year, it only took roughly 200 days, almost 200 days, which is still 6 months and a half. So that's Still quite a lot, but we're improving. And then again, it's only for the companies that do know what is actually going on. Hacking is 80% human. So hacking is a human factor, like social engineering, phishing, it all involves humans. Same as unlock laptops, because when you leave your laptop unlocked, it's the doing of a human. And that's basically it. That's why hacking is 80% human. It always involves humans. So just a bit before I said, yeah, but nobody's going to do this, right? Nobody's going to come in here and actually steal my credentials by putting in a USB, because everybody can see it, right? So you're sitting here next to me and you can see that somebody does it. Well, a funny story about that is I was doing a keystroke injection assessment, and I was just running around in the company and I saw an unlocked laptop, and there were some other people there as well. I just sat behind the screen and I ejected my laptop, and the other people were like, hey, what are you doing? That's not your laptop. And I was like, relax. I'm from security. We're doing an assessment. Don't make any fuss about it. This person is getting on the blacklist and he's going to get an email. Keep it on the down low because we're still doing an assessment for the whole week. I was not from security. I just made it up on the spot. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry. It's because security, everybody is scared of security. But what that person had to do is actually contact their own security to report what they found. But he didn't. He believed me, and it was fine. But whenever people say nobody's going to do that, what if it works remote? And now I can already hear you thinking, how is he going to put a USB remote in the laptop? Well, I'm not going to put the USB there. There are already USB dongles in laptops. As you can see here on the screen, there's a small USB dongle which contains radio frequencies. I don't remember the year, but Bitcraze developed this thing called a Crazy Radio PA, and they just came out with a Crazy Radio 2.0, which is the improved version. And what that does is it sniffs out unencrypted radio frequency packets. So whatever that does is when somebody starts typing and they're not encrypted, it will basically catch it and you will be able to simulate it, which is called a mouse jacking attack, which is invented by Bastille in 2016, if I remember correctly. And what can you do with it? You can basically do all kinds of hardware attacks with it, impersonate the mouse and the keyboard. So how does that exactly work? So on the left, you can see there's a mouse. You can click. Whenever you click, it will basically send a radio frequency to a USB dongle, right? We're not talking about Bluetooth here. We're talking about radio frequencies. Bluetooth comes later. And that packet that is sent through the air to the USB dongle is either encrypted or unencrypted. Whenever it's unencrypted, you can spoof it. So it goes through the air, it goes to the dongle tells the laptop, hey, I received a click from this mouse, you need to click. So, and then the computer clicks. So what happens is you have an attacker which will basically capture those packets. He will create his own packet, for example, a left click or some kind of keyboard commands. And he will also send that through the air to the same USB dongle because it's unencrypted and you can basically see the address where it's sending to. So the victim's USB dongle. That laptop then receives the unencrypted packet that you spoofed, and it will also execute it. And that's basically keystroke injection via wireless devices. So what is the real danger of a mouse jack attack? So it can be used to take over computers, it can be used to install malware, it can be used to potentially infiltrate networks, it can be used to install keyloggers, it can be used to do anything you want with a keyboard. And that's quite a lot. There is such a thing as bring your own device, which is a company rule because companies don't always give out mouse and keyboards and they just say like, yeah, you can bring your own. but there's no rules about it, which is a problem. There should be rules about it. Because there are, for example, Logitech. Logitech is a well-known company, but they actually had the most vulnerable devices out there. They've done great patching and they've improved a lot on their security, but they actually had the most vulnerable devices. Because it is also a known company, they're also tested more than others. But there are so many more untested devices that there really needs to be a bring your own device policy. Preferably, you just bring a keyboard and mouse with a cable. Then there's really no problem. I think we all know what this is. This is a football on a football field. If you like football, if you don't like football, we all know how big a football field is. It's 100 meters. So just imagine yourself sitting at your company, looking outside of the window, and just think of a football field length. Think of like 100 meters. And at the end of those 100 meters, there's a hacker. You might not even see it because there's a huge building in between, or he is in the next building looking with binoculars at you. And those 100 meters, that's the length of how far a mouse check attack works. You can actually get it to 150 meters with some amplifiers, but it's not that reliable. But 100 meters is already quite a lot. So yeah, that's the length of it, what it can happen. Damn. For a bit of my closing note, there's a thing called Blue Ducky. Blue Ducky has been discovered a few years ago, but it was actually very much known from a long time before. It was just not made public. Blue Ducky stands for Bluetooth Ducky, which is basically the same, which is a zero-click code execution, but it's not for laptops. It's for other devices. It's for mobile devices. So if you think that you should lock your laptop screen, you should also lock your mobile phones, because the Blue Ducky is a vulnerability on all Android devices of version 14 and below. There are some patches for it, but not for every single version. But whenever you want to connect another device via Bluetooth, you normally have to press like a button saying like, hey, I want to connect this device. Yes, I agree, or put in like a code. With this vulnerability, it doesn't need to. There was a bug in the systems of Android where you could just bypass that and just instantly connect. And when you instantly connected, you could also execute code via keystroke injections, which was a major thing because there were a lot of people who just leave their Bluetooth on. Like, I never leave my Bluetooth on. But you could go to a conference and you could do this and you could see so many devices which are vulnerable and you could just start injecting in there. Don't do it, by the way. But yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily need to be a laptop. It can also be mobile devices. It can also be tablets, iPads, all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of exploits out there which are not known and only available on the dark web for these devices. So be careful. Don't always leave your Bluetooth or Wi-Fi enabled. My key takeaways. So why should you actually lock your laptop? Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's because the simple answer is because you can see what's happening on your screen. And that's basically it. That's basically the whole key takeaway, because you can see what's happening on your screen. Because when you look away, people can start injecting stuff. And it gets injected via a superhuman speed. It takes sometimes 3 seconds, sometimes 5 seconds. When you take a coffee, when you go for a coffee, it probably takes a couple of minutes. I don't need that long to execute a script remotely. It really takes only 5 seconds, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to install something, it probably takes longer, but the idea is that you can look at your screen. So whenever something is happening on your screen, you can press escape, you can press Alt F4, you can close your laptop, and the script will stop because it will not work. It is not easy to make these kind of scripts very robust. So whenever you do something, it will probably not work. And that's why you have to lock your laptops when you're not there. Even when you're like looking at the person next to you and you're trying to help it and you're leaning over a little bit, lock your laptop. Because when you're leaning over and somebody from afar is looking with binoculars, like, okay, I can execute it now, and he will not have seen it. And you just don't want to be the person that actually gets compromised, basically. If you're the person that gets compromised, then you're gonna have to go on training probably. And that's my presentation about keystroke injection attacks. Again, do not try it at home. Only try it with permission. Try it on your own devices maybe. But then again, still be very careful, especially with the mouse check attacks, because when you're discovering devices around you and radio frequencies around you, you can also discover radio frequencies from all of the other people, and it's very easy done to click on something else than not your own devices. So be very careful with it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Wow, amazing. That's I didn't know that you can do that. So I didn't know that you can really read the frequencies. This is scary, but
Yep.
I mean, I think there's maybe almost impossible to close all the ways in, I guess, right?
It is true. There is always a way in. There's always a way in. It's just a matter of time, because technologies evolve, new vulnerabilities come out, new vulnerabilities get discovered. There recently was a vulnerability. I can't remember if it was a Python library or not, but it was a remote code execution vulnerability of the highest scale, but it was in there for 14 years. And they just only discovered it. It's crazy. Somebody just has to find it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like I told you, I know a person involved in that kind of things, and he told me many years ago, 15, 16 years ago, that, for example, one of the things. So what you said, I mean, one of the weak points are always employees.
Yep, humans.
What the humans, and you see in TV in the series when they
Correct.
and the thing he said to me, yeah, it's very easy, because at the end of the day, always someone needs money.
True.
Someone needs money, and they don't need to do much. They just need to do a USB stick, just to put it in some place for a few minutes and then take it away. That's it.
Yep, correct.
And put it away, and no one's know that, and that's it. And he said, this is I mean, if you want to go in some place, there's always a way. And I mean, we have seen a few years back when I mean, nowadays very, very actual, the story, when Siemens was of the one who sold this centrifuge to Iran to create uranium, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now you follow that many years ago, that suddenly all this centrifuge when destroyed themselves, because it looked like the secret service of a well-known country put something in the software that that even being this software away from internet, at some point this software turned and destroyed this centrifuge. That's hacking on a very high level. That's a very interesting topic. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Agile testing days.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, to see all the talks and see all the talks on security, because it's always a little bit, is it always a little bit dirty, right?
A little bit. I think it will be fine. It will be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kristof, I wanna there is one. Okay, the user just said so much. This love the diversity of the track, and LinkedIn the user just say applause. So if there is anyone there and has a question, you need to write it now. If not, we are going to stop it here. And I want to thank you. It was wonderful. Looking forward to seeing you in Potsdam at the Agile Testing Days, and also for yourself. No? So take care of you. Kristof.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Good night. Bye. So, my dears, it was again a session of AgileTD after work. So if security is a topic for you, or AI, or test automation, or people, culture, whatever, you are welcome at the Agile Testing Days. Hope to see you there. Enjoy the evening or the afternoon, and see you soon. Bye.